We got ourselves a quality episode of Dynamite tonight. This is coming off the heels of a quality episode of Raw on Monday. So now all we need is SmackDown on Friday to complete the hat trick. And we've had ourselves a great week of wrestling television. MJF was out for 6 months. Last time we saw him in the ring was World's End. And so tonight we had MJF back in the ring for the first time in a very long time, going one-on-one with Roosh. Wasn't sure if we were going to get an actual finish to the match and maybe get a part 2 at Forbidden Door. We got the big show coming up on Long Island at the end of the month. You know you're not going to have a Long Island show. MJF just came back. Obviously, he's going to be there. But we didn't know exactly who he was going to be working with. Now we do. Now we know who MJF is going to be wrestling on that show. And I guarantee you, it is a name that you were not thinking of. Because it was a name that I was not thinking of. And it's actually a little underwhelming. Not that we're not going to get a very good match, but not the person I was expecting. But what I was expecting was a lot of fire in the face-to-face tonight with the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland and his challenger coming up at Forbidden Door. Will Ospreay, we had them face-to-face in the ring tonight for what turned out to be a great segment I very much enjoyed. We also had a couple of Owen Hart tournament matches, quarterfinal round tournament matches in the men's and women's Owen Hart tournaments, because now we have brackets, which is what I'm going, not brackets, to be confused with the guy who never debuted in WWE. I think he had one match on TV. Back in 97. I don't know what actually ever happened to Brackus. Wherever he may be. I hope he's doing okay. We got brackets for the men's and women's Owen Hart tournaments. Here is the bracket for the men's. Owen Hart Cup here 2024. And as you can see, we'll start with the left side. We have Claudio, Castagnoli, and Pac. That turned out to be our main event on tonight's show. And what a main event. Now, see, that was a great main event. I don't know what you're talking about, Uffman. Thank you. Thank you for the $15. Now, that was a great main event that we had on Dynamite tonight. But also, take a look at the bottom part of the bracket on the left-hand side of your screen. Bryan Danielson is going to go one-on-one with Shingo Takagi. Now, we knew that Danielson had already declared for the tournament, and last week we got a video package from Shingo, so we knew he also was entering the tournament. But we are getting this in the first round. This is a first round match in this tournament, and that will take place at Forbidden Door. So I'm looking at the left side of this bracket here, and I love what I'm seeing. Right? This is great. Now we shift over to the right side of the bracket, and we see Rey Fenix going to go one-on-one with Switchblade Jay White. And I don't have an issue with that. In fact, I'm very happy to see Jay White is in this tournament. I think I even said that a few weeks ago. After Juice Robinson came back, I said, you know what? Let's have Juice take the Trios title, and he could tag up with the Guns, and let's get Jay White in more singles matches, right? Let's use this as an opportunity to get him back in the ring in one-on-one matches. He should be in the Owen. And he is. He's going to wrestle Rey Fenix. But then you see, on the right-hand side of the bracket, just below Jay White against Rey Fenix, we have Jeff Jarrett going one-on-one with a wild card entry. And I don't know that they said anything about when the wild card will be announced. It may not be announced until the day of, whenever the match takes place. But a mystery man will be in this tournament. Now, I know there are people who are going to look at this and are going to expect me to pop off here about the fact that we have fucking Jeff Jarrett. That's right, yes. A wild slapnuts has appeared in this tournament. Why is Jeff Jarrett in a tournament where the winner goes on to the main event at Wembley Stadium to challenge for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship? That would be a valid question. But I'm not going to pop off on it because Jeff Jarrett, for those who don't know, was very good friends with Owen Hart. In fact, they were tag team partners. They were tag team champions together. And I don't know that Jeff Jarrett did not personally go to Tony Khan and say, look, I would love to be part of the Owen Hart tournament. Or for all we know, maybe one of the family members, was hoping that Jeff Jarrett would be a part of the tournament. We don't know who may have spoken to who. But I'm going to assume that the reason we have Jarrett in this tournament is because, again, they were very good friends. And I can't hate on that. Now, I can look at this tournament and say that Jeff Jarrett, just from a purely, wrestling perspective here, putting aside any personal relationships, has no fucking business being in this tournament. I think we can all agree on that. But, given the circumstances and given what it is, I'm okay with it. Also, he ain't getting out of the first round. So whoever that wild card is going to be, and I happen to think it's going to be Hangman Adam Page, who has been rumored to be back very soon. We don't know exactly when, but he is on his way back to AEW, and so it would stand to reason that he would wind up in this tournament. There is a chance, though, that if Will Ospreay goes to Forbidden Door, and if Will Ospreay loses to Swerve Strickland, he could very well end up being the wild card in this tournament, and there still could be a backdoor way for him to get into this thing. But the way I'm looking at this and the way things are feeling to me right now, this is feeling like a spot for Hangman Page to make his return. And if I'm right, and he goes on and he beats Jeff Jarrett, and we have Jay White, who should be beating Rey Fenix, and we have Hangman over Switchblade, and I look at the other side of the bracket, we could very well be looking at Hangman Page against Bryan Danielson. Or Osprey against Bryan Danielson. But I'm thinking Hangman and Bryan Danielson in the finals of this tournament. So that's the way the men's Owen Hart tournament is shaping up. And as far as the Claudio Pac match, I'm going to talk about that later. Because again, that was the main event of tonight's show. But we got another bracket here as well. Let's flip on over here to the women's Owen Hart tournament bracket. On the left-hand side, we have Willow Nightingale going one-on-one with Serena Deeb. We've got Nyla Rose taking on Kris Statlander. That was a tournament match that took place tonight that I will be talking about. And this makes sense because you've got Willow, you've got Statlander, and obviously they're feuding at the moment. So they're on the same side of the bracket. Now you might look at it and go, well, why wouldn't they be on opposite sides of the bracket? And that way you can do Willow against Statlander in the finals. Because Kris Statlander is not winning the Owen, and because Willow Nightingale is not winning the Owen. That's why you have them on the same side of the bracket. Which brings me to the right-hand side. We have Deonna Purrazzo going one-on-one with Hikaru Shida. Saw a picture of Shida recently. Apparently now she's a blonde, from what I saw. And we have Mariah May. Would you look at this? Mariah May, one-on-one with Saraya. Gee, when everybody was losing their minds and freaking out a few weeks ago about the fact that Saraya pinned Mariah May, who was the voice of reason trying to talk people down from the ledge and explain that this is exactly what they were setting up for, that Mariah May was going to get her win back in the Owen. And would you look at that? They're all matched up. Now, I thought it might happen in the finals, but they're all matched up here in the opening round. I look at this. This is a little bit easier to predict here because Mariah May is going to get her win back over Saraya. And then whether she beats Deonna or Shida makes no difference. Mariah May is going to go to the finals of this tournament. Kris Statlander and Nyla Rose, again, I'll talk about that later. We got Willow and Serena Deeb. Look, it's no surprise. We're going to get Kris Statlander and Willow Nightingale in the semifinals. And then I think we're looking at Statlander and Mariah May in the final, with Mariah May going on to Wembley Stadium. So this seems a lot more obvious to me, but not a bad bracket. And again, Statlander and Willow wrestling in this tournament. Willow! Sorry, I lapse into that every now and then. Statlander and Willow being in the same bracket, of course, makes all the sense in the world. So anyway, that is the way that the Owen Hart tournaments are shaping up. Looking good. Again, I could certainly nitpick the men's bracket, and there are certain names that are missing who should be in that tournament, former champions, Samoa Joe, MJF, and we could list a whole bunch of different names, but Bryan Danielson and Shingo Takagi, now that is a match that I can get behind. This is your AEW Dynamite review for Wednesday, June 19th, 2024. I am the Solomonster. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button as well.
Look, everyone, it's Samoa Bro.
If you don't, I will send Samoa Bro over to beat you up, wherever you may be. He's going to beat the living crap out of you. So make sure you hit that like button. And super chats are open as well. You will see them appearing right before your very eyes. And you might even hear a few of them as we go along here in this review. Man, we had an unbelievable night on Monday.
I am the learning tree.
We're sitting under the learning tree.
Thanks, guys.
We had a huge night on Monday. I'm not necessarily expecting that, but boy, you guys came out in full force. So let's get into this review here. Let's talk about Dynamite. In fact, let's talk about the opening of Dynamite, because they opened hot tonight with MJF, his very first match back since World's End, going one-on-one with Rush. They promoted this a week in advance, that this was not only going to open the show, but this was also going to air commercial-free. So it was not the entire first hour. It was just the opening match, but it was nice to not have to cut to the picture-in-picture and take, any sort of time away from the match. Both men traded forearms and elbow strikes to start. MJF got chopped, and so he licked his hand and he gave it right back to Rush. No effect. No effect. So then Rush put his arms behind his back. MJF wound up like he was going to chop him again, and he was playing to the crowd and teasing it and dragging it out and dragging it out. And then finally, instead of slapping the man, he poked him in the eyes. I mean, I could have seen that coming. Apparently Rush couldn't. And now he literally couldn't see because he got poked in the eyes. Now, MJF was bleeding from the mouth. I didn't see how it happened, but he had some blood. And this led to a 30-second diatribe from Taz about, well, it's either coming from the mouth or it's coming from the nose. No, maybe it's coming from this part of his body. He was bleeding from the mouth. Rush teased the bull's horns. Then he stopped and he struck a pose. Then he went for his finish again. MJF moved out of the corner. Rush stuffed the pile driver, but MJF hit the move on the second try, and he had Rush pinned, but Rush grabbed the hand of referee Paul Turner. Before the referee's hand could come down for a count of 3, Rush said, "I don't think so," and he grabbed the hand to stop the ref. So MJF, when Rush got up, he charged at him. Rush took him over with an overhead belly-to-belly suplex into the bottom turnbuckle, and he bounced like a bad check. Max bounced off the turnbuckle out of the corner. Rush used the pile driver to get a near fall, so he waited for MJF to stand up, and then he knocked him out to the floor. Rush followed him out, ran MJF into the barricade several times, and then Rush pulled a chair out from underneath the ring. And the referee in the ring, he sees this, and he is admonishing Rush, telling him not to use the chair. So he slides the chair into the ring with so much force, in fact, that the chair almost slid completely to the other end of the ring and back out to the floor. But I guess it slid all the way up to the ropes and then it stopped. Okay. So this was enough to create a diversion for the referee. Paul Turner goes to walk over to dispose of the chair. This was another one of those moments here. And we see a lot of these, unfortunately. One of these moments where they make the referee look like a blithering idiot. Because it should not have taken more than 2 seconds for Paul Turner to go. He could take his foot and he could nudge the chair out of the ring and then turn his attention back to what's going on outside, because, man, these two guys are outside. I better keep my eye on what's going on out here. But instead, his back was turned and he's fumbling around with the chair. And we had Excalibur on commentary here, and he makes the comment, he goes, referee Paul Turner is over dealing with the chair. Because now, like, time is going by and he's still got his back turned. And he's like, well, Paul Turner is dealing with the chair. And I'm just thinking to myself, yes, he's dealing with the chair. The chair is not cooperating. He is telling the chair to leave the ring. And I guess the chair is saying no. And so he's over dealing with the chair this entire time. I guess apparently the chair wouldn't listen to what Paul Turner had to say. So while this was going on, Rush retrieved a cable from underneath the ring. He started whipping MJF with it. He tried to choke him with it. Again, referee didn't see any of this. MJF ended up seated on a chair at ringside up against the barricade. Rush charges in, he gets tripped, and he goes face first into the chair. MJF gets Rush on the apron. He's setting up for a move. I don't know if he was going for a pile driver or... I don't remember exactly or know what he was going for, but whatever he was trying to do, it did not work. And Rush stuffs it. He ends up hitting an overhead belly-to-belly suplex to MJF from the apron to the floor, and he bounced like a bad check again. The second time now in this match that MJF has taken a big bump. This one was much worse than the first one in the ring. At least the first one was actually in the ring. This time he got tossed from the apron down to the floor. Taz made a comment on commentary. He said that he would be feeling that bump in 20 years. Oh, I would say he's feeling that bump now. He was feeling that bump 20 seconds after he took it. He doesn't have to wait 20 years. For a guy, who just missed 6 months of his career, you would think that that would not be a bump that he would be taking in his first match back. That was a wild bump. And by wild, I mean dumb. Back inside, Rush set up for the Bulls. I said Bulls ass for the Bulls horns. I'm looking at people. What is this Earl Hebner stuff I'm seeing? I'm distracted here by the chat. People are talking about Earl Hebner, thinking what he ran Playboy magazine. It's Earl Hebner, and why is Earl Hebner a topic of discussion in this chat? Earl Hebner, by the way, you want to talk about bumps and referees? Earl Hebner took a better bump than almost any referee I've ever seen. So kudos to him for that. I don't know where Earl is or what he's doing these days, but shout out to him. See, Earl Hebner, him and Joey Morella, those are the guys I grew up with watching as referees. Yeah, some of you, if you were watching the NWA, you may have grown up watching Tommy Young. Me, I was a Hebner guy. Yeah, Dave Hebner, then Earl came in. The only thing with Earl was not shy of making sure that he got his face on camera as much as possible. And there are referees who will say that the art of being a good referee is not making yourself the center of attention. It's kind of like blending in without people knowing you're there. That was not the Earl Hebner way of doing things. But yes, it's Hebner, not Hefner. Good grief. Anyway, Rush is setting up for the Bulls horns. MJF pops out of the corner. He clotheslines him. Then MJF put him down with a spine buster. Slam Rush's head on the top turnbuckle and then threw 10 punches in the corner. The fans counted along. MJF hit the Heat Seeker in the ropes, and then dragged him to the center of the ring and finished him off with a brainbuster and pinned him. A very good match, a very physical match. And MJF took a couple of big bumps here in this match too. And again, for a guy who hasn't worked in the ring in 6 months, didn't miss a beat. I thought he looked great. Rush did too, but he always looks good in these matches. Rush is a very good professional wrestler, and he makes you work for it. When I said this was a very physical match, it was a very physical match because he was in the ring with Rush. That's why it was very physical. Now, after the match, Brian Cage, Toa Leona, Bishop Cone, and Hechicero appeared on the big screen, and they're clapping for MJF here after his big win. And Brian Cage said that the EVPs have made it official. MJF would face Hechicero at Forbidden Door. Hechicero delivered a promo in Spanish. None of this got much of a reaction because as talented as he is, It's a very underwhelming announcement. You know, when you think of MJF's first big match back on a pay-per-view, and they're on Long Island, right? Like he always says, the most magical place in the world, Long Island, New York. They're at the UBS Arena. I was expecting more. I was expecting a different name, not Hechicero. And so you could tell just from the reaction of the fans, it was met with a lot of like, Again, I'm sure it's going to be a very good match. Not taking away from the fact that Hechicero is somebody MJF can go in there and he can safely beat. And he'll give him a very good professional wrestling match. Look, Hechicero had a very fun match with Bryan Danielson earlier this year, several months ago. And so, again, I'm sure this will be no different. But for this spot, I was expecting more. And again, I have to say this. And I know why they're doing this, because they don't want him to lose. But I'm going to say it anyway. It defies all logic that MJF, after losing in the way that he did, losing the AEW World title, which he talked about how much that title meant to him and defined him, and it was everything to him. He held that title for over a year. And he lost it. He was hurt. He had to go away. He comes back. And the fact that he comes back at a time when they happen to be doing a tournament where the winner will go to the main event of Wembley Stadium to challenge for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. And you have people who are just cutting promos. We have Pac declaring himself for the tournament. We have Shingo Takagi, who doesn't even work there, declaring himself, I will be in the Owen. How are you going to have MJF come back? And honestly, it should have been the first thing he did when he came back at Double or Nothing. How are you going to have him come back and not declare that he is going to be in the Owen Hart tournament, that he wants to get back to the main event at Wembley? He headlined Wembley Stadium last year. He's got the chance to do it again. And before anybody says a word to me about, well, he was out for 6 months and they have rankings and he's got to work his way back into the ranking. 2 words for you. Jeff Jarrett. I don't have to say anything else, so I don't want to hear it. That's not an excuse. There's no good reason why MJF would not at least give the indication of wanting to be in the Owen Hart and wanting to get back his world championship. And I understand that he's not going to win unless he ends up being the wild card. Anything's possible. I don't see it happening. Unless he ends up being the wild card, the reason he's not in this tournament is because they don't want to beat him. If he's not going to the main event of Wembley Stadium, which may not be the plan, then they would not want him to lose. I understand that, but there are ways around that. You could have him declare, you can have him in the tournament, you can have whoever he's going to go off to feud with next could screw him out of a win. He could wrestle somebody in the semifinals or in the opening round, and they go to a no contest or a time limit draw, and they're bounced out of the tournament, but then he and that other person, they go on to feud and carry that over into Wembley Stadium. So there are ways to do it. It's just one of those things that it defies logic, and you have to ask the question, even though you already know the answer. But it doesn't appear that MJF is going to be in the Owen.
I am the learning tree.
Oh, man. This fucking guy again.
Thanks, guys.
This fucking guy. Hey, Isaiah, thank you for the $12 super chat. This fucking learning tree won't leave us alone. All right, we got Will Ospreay to talk about here because he was up next with Swerve Strickland, the main event of Forbidden Door coming up at the end of the month. Out to the ring for a face-to-face ahead of their championship match. Swerve comes out. He's got Prince Nana with him. Everybody is singing the song. Prince Nana swerving, Swerve. He swerves when he drives. Justin Timberlake apparently swerves when he drives, or so I've heard. So it was just announced today. I may as well mention this now. It was just announced today that Swerve Strickland, who it was already announced, he's coming back to House of Glory. Only this time he's coming back, God willing, as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion next month, July 26th. But now we know who he's wrestling. It will be Swerve Strickland one-on-one against Amazing Red. July 26th, House of Glory. at the NYC Arena. And I am very much looking forward to that match. Now I'm pulling even more so, more now than ever, that Swerve holds on to that title at Forbidden Door because he needs to walk into that arena as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. So let's hope it all works out. But that's going to be a great match. This one, though, is coming up first. Osprey said the last time they were in the ring together, he snapped the AEW World title from him. And he talked about being a world champion. Yeah, that was what he's referring to as last week when he literally pulled the title away from him, had both titles on each shoulder. So then he's talking about how he's been a world champion on 3 different continents at the same time. He said Swerve is going to find out what the rest of the world already knows, that Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world today. But Swerve corrected him and said that he is the best in the world. He said he didn't forget how Osprey beat Kenny Omega last year at Forbidden Door, and he asked him, are you going to need your family to help you out again? Are you going to need Don Callis to beat me at Forbidden Door? Osprey said he doesn't need Don Callis. He doesn't need the family. He can do this all by himself. And as he said that, they cut to a shot of Callis and the family in the back watching this. And Callis did not look happy about that comment. He did not look like he was very enthusiastic about what Osprey just had to say about him. He said, do you feel the pressure being in the ring with the best in the world? He said, Strickland should feel pressure because he's about to have his first ever pay-per-view main event as world champion. And what if that kill shot that he promised everyone is just centimeters off? Is he that confident that he won't hit that one move, whether it's the Os Cutter, the Stormbreaker, or he caves his head in with a hidden blade? The next morning, he'll wake up without that championship, and the pain he feels after he loses when he walks back up that ramp will not be as bad as when he realizes that Will Ospreay was on another level. But it still won't be as bad as if he hits him with the Tiger Driver 91. So they're still pushing that. They're still pushing how dangerous the Tiger Driver is and that he might use it on him in that match. Swerve got hot at this, and he pointed out that this is Ospreay's first pay-per-view main event, period. And he's got Swerve to thank for that. He talked about Ospreay's friends, doing on social media. He's been doing the Mercedes Monet, the dance that she does. He's been doing it with all of his buddies. Swerve said he doesn't have any friends. He got rid of them all. Their bodies in the ground. They're buried. They're in the grave. They mean nothing to him. Then he asked Will, what if he breaks Ospreay's leg at Forbidden Door? Right? Who is he then? What if he breaks his arm? Will these people still love him the same way they do now? He said Ospreay could break his arm. He could break Swerve's leg. He could shave Swerve's head. He said it won't matter. When all is said and done, he is still, even outside the wrestling business, he is still Swerve Strickland, the mogul, the businessman, the actor, the podcaster. Whoop, whoop. None of that changes, he says. This championship will consume you. Look at what it did to me, he said. He's trying to educate him. He's got to sacrifice that much more to be in the position that Swerve right now is in. And he doesn't get that yet. He doesn't think Ospreay gets it. He's going to have to sacrifice the things that he loves, including the love of his wife and his son. And he doesn't think Ospreay is ready to do that. So now Ospreay is getting upset. Oh, poor Maze. Maze in the chat says, I don't have any friends either. Well, I'll tell you what, Maze, we will all be your friend. Maze is a little depressed after this promo here. So everybody give Maze a virtual hug in the chat. I don't want you to be depressed. We're here to lift your spirits. We're all friends here. We're all friends here. Except for that learning tree fucker who keeps popping up on my screen. Ospreay cut him off and told him not to dare mention his son again. Don't make this personal, bruv. Prince Nana interjected and told them that this is not the place nor the time. They need to save all that fire for Forbidden Door. Nana said, whose house? And Osprey grabbed the microphone out of his hand and said, "It's his house. It's Will Ospreay's house." And he went to go leave. They started playing his music. Swerve, though, cut him off. Said, "We're not done yet." He asked him, what if he does want to make this personal? Because when it comes to this title, it's always personal. So when you go home, send my regards to Al and Harry again. I guess Al is his wife or his girlfriend, I guess, and Harry would be his stepson. So he mentioned them by name. And Osprey now, he climbs back into the ring. He goes forehead to forehead with Swerve. They're literally butting heads. And they're shit-talking each other. They did everything but throw down. This never degenerated into a fight. Nobody threw a punch or a shove, but they were ready to pop off here. Then they cut backstage where Trent Beretta was with the rest of the Callis family watching all of this unfold. And Trent Beretta was telling Don Callis that Osprey just disrespected his family. Callis calmed him down and said that he knows Osprey better than his own mother does. Everything is going to be fine. Don't worry about it. And they all shuffled off. And yes, there was a line in this promo that I skipped over, but there was a line here that Will Ospreay had mentioning Hit Row. You know, it was in the course of talking about Swerve. He did drop a Hit Row reference in here, which Swerve laughed at. He got a kick out of that. They got spicy in there in this segment. I like it. I like that. Spicy enough without getting physical. They got personal, but they did not get physical. And there's no need for them to. They have one more Dynamite left to go. Then we get Forbidden Door. It's not this weekend, it's the following weekend. So the go-home show is next week. If there's going to be any physicality, if there's going to be a pull-apart brawl or anything like that, save it for next week. We didn't need to get it tonight. I thought both guys brought it here on the mic. I thought that may have been Swerve's best promo, at least since he became champion. I thought he was solid as a rock on the mic tonight. Osprey continues to impress on the microphone. I didn't know what to expect from him when he came over, and it's just a different beast than what he's used to. He's not used to going out there on live television every week, week after week after week, cutting promos. When he was in New Japan or he was doing stuff in Rev Pro and on the indie scene, it's a very different beast. I think he has done very well. He cuts these great fiery babyface promos on the microphone, and the fans are behind him. They're cheering for him, even just when his music hit, just to come out here. Listen to the reaction that he gets when they hit his music each week. So I think he's been doing very well as far as his promo work is concerned. And, they told the story here that Swerve, in so many words, basically Swerve was telling him that you don't have the killer instinct that you need to be in the position that I'm in, because I will do anything for this championship. I will get personal. I will kill you. I will put you in the ground. The man literally just talked about how I have no friends. All my friends are in the ground. They're all gone. So he's telling Osprey, you're not ready for this. You think you are, but you're not. You can't be where I am. And they're teasing friction, more importantly, between Osprey and the Callis family, which is something that, I've been waiting for really since the day he arrived, because it was pretty clear not long after he debuted full-time on the roster that he was going to be one of the top babyfaces, if not the top babyface in this company. You cannot long-term have your top babyface aligned and friendly with the top heel. Don Callis is one of the top heels in wrestling right now. There is nothing likable about him. There is nothing redeemable about him. There is nothing cool about him that makes you want to cheer for him. He is the classic heel. He's the slimy heel. He comes out. It's the closest thing to what I would call Dominic Mysterio heat that anybody in this company gets. Bully Ray had a tweet that he put out the other day, and it was something for Busted Open. And he wanted people to post who they thought were the 3 biggest heels today in the wrestling business. And Don Callis is probably going to be somebody who would be, and I don't know who was on his list. I didn't tune in. I don't know. But Don Callis will likely end up being, if you ask that question, on a lot of people's lists. My list would have Christian Cage, Logan Paul, and Dominic Mysterio, but you can't go wrong with Don Callis. So why now, months later, is Will Ospreay still technically part of or associated with the Don Callis family? You knew that was never going to last. This is the first time now here that we're really starting to see cracks in the relationship here, and also gives you a sense of where things may potentially be headed at Forbidden Door. I think we just got our answer as far as how things may go. Assuming that Ospreay is not going to walk out with that championship, which he should not, on June 30th, it could very well be the case that, okay, despite what he said here, Callis does get involved, or he tries to get involved. And Will Ospreay says, look, I don't need your help, bruv. I appreciate it. I got to do this on my own. I got to do this by myself. And in the end, that's what ends up costing him the match. And it kind of gives him a little bit of an out, if there is a distraction and he's kind of dealing with Callis and takes his eye off the ball. Swerve makes him pay for it, ends up pinning him. I would hate for that because that match is going to be a great match. Okay, I am very much looking forward to the match itself at Forbidden Door. I would hate for a match that great to end on account of interference from Don Callis or the Don Callis family. That would be pretty shitty. But Swerve should not lose that world championship at Forbidden Door, and they may not want Ospreay to take that loss clean. That could be an out for them. And we just saw the first signs of it here on this show, but you got to get them apart. There's no reason for Ospreay to be associated with these guys anymore at all, loosely or otherwise, right? This has to come to an end. Forbidden Door could be that time. We had Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy, and Dante Martin against Roderick Strong, Konosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, and Zack Sabre Jr. from New Japan Pro Wrestling. On the show tonight, this was an all-action preview of Forbidden Door. Cassidy and Sabre, they're going to be wrestling on that show. We know Briscoe, Takeshita, and Dante Martin so far are all in the TNT title ladder match along with Jack Perry. So not everybody in this match has a role on Forbidden Door, but a lot of them do. I'm not going to get into all the spots. It was a spot fest for most of the match. I mean, a lot going on here. Fletcher and Takeshita, they hit a huge assisted avalanche powerbomb out of the corner on Dante Martin at one point. Briscoe made a hot tag when things came back from a commercial break. He planted Takeshita with a rolling Death Valley driver and then a froggy bow. O'Reilly hit a top rope knee. Martin came off with a splash, and then Cassidy, he fell. I mean, he just slowly fell down from the top rope. Cassidy wanted an orange punch. Sabre, though, trapped the leg, which allowed Takeshita to catch him with a kick. At this point, the match just completely broke down altogether. Sabre nearly got a pin on Cassidy off of a European clutch, but it got broken up. O'Reilly and Cassidy hit a total elimination on Fletcher, and Cassidy fired off an orange punch on Roderick Strong for the win. A lot of big moves, a lot of big spots. That's what this match was. As Dante Martin was leaving up the ramp, he was attacked by Jack Perry, who was also in the TNT title ladder match. He ran off when Mark Briscoe gave chase. Takeshita caught up with Briscoe and brawled with him to the back. That left Sabre and Cassidy in the ring for a face-off. Little preview of their match coming up. Speaking of Forbidden Door, we got a good video package hyping the championship match between Mercedes Moné and Stephanie Vicaire. It's AEW versus CMLL for the TBS championship. It's the TBS title and the New Japan Strong women's title. So Stephanie's AAA. Don't tell CMLL I said that. They'll put me on some kind of fucking hit list. The CMLL women's world title is not on the line in that match. Yeah, for those who don't know, there is a bitter war for many years between CMLL and AAA It's like oil and water. They do not mix. It's very stupid, actually, but egos. So it's been a very tense sort of, you don't mix the two. You can't have wrestlers from one on the same show with another. It's a whole thing. So heaven forbid I mix up the two companies. But anyway, this is a very good video package. Mercedes said that she's making history all over the globe. And there is a price to pay when you mess with Mercedes Moné. There you go. She should write a children's book. She rhymes. CMLL is coming for me. Hey, I'm not hard to find. I'm not a hard man to find. Whose ring do I have to kiss to make up for the mistake that I've made here? Meanwhile, in the back, cameras caught up with Roosh when we see someone place their hand on his shoulder. And the camera pulls back, and it's Don Callis. This fucking guy's everywhere. Don Callis then tells him in Spanish that he had an opportunity for him. Oportunidad he has for Roosh. And off goes Callis, and Roosh just stands there breathing heavily for about 10 seconds as the camera lingers. This was very WWE-esque under Kevin Dunn, where you would have the end of a segment, and they would just linger on the person for a very uncomfortable period of time, where you thought something was going to happen, somebody else was going to walk into the shot. Nope. They just linger. And then after about 10 seconds, they finally cut to the next segment. So perhaps the opportunity here, this could be an opportunity involving Will Ospreay, perhaps. Maybe Callis is taking matters into his own hands. We'll see. We'll see where that leads. We had an Eliminator match for the AEW World Tag Team titles with the Young Bucks taking on the Acclaimed. This actually led to the best thing on the entire show. As much as I enjoyed the opening match and as much as I enjoyed the main event, this moment right here coming up was the best thing on the entire show. So the Acclaim comes out. Max Caster is rapping, which is definitely not the best part of the entire show. As he is rapping, his mic cuts out. And we see up on the big screen, Kazuchika Okada is sitting at what I guess is, their gorilla position. He's at the controls. He's got the headset there. And he's pushing buttons. Looks like he's randomly pushing buttons. And he said, "I pushed the wrong button." And then he starts to fake cry. And he puts his hands over his face. And then he drops his hands and he looks totally stone-faced. And he calls them bitches. Or just bitch. I think he just said bitch. But basically, he called them both bitches. And if you listen, everybody in the building popped and laughed. Okada, I fucking love Okada. I mean, is there anything this man can't do? His body of work speaks for itself. All the fucking matches and all the great feuds that he's had, the people that he's worked with. He built up such a big name for himself over in Japan. Now he comes to the U.S. He's taking a chance on himself that he can get over in front of the American audience on weekly television. And he's putting his trust in Tony Khan, which could be a dangerous thing to do. But he's putting his trust in Tony Khan. And I will tell you, this elite angle, by the way, this whole takeover, the elite angle, it's not working. It's not working for me. Okada, though, is the best part of the entire thing. It's not the Young Bucks. It's not Jack Perry, although Jack Perry is we'll see. Time will tell how much this helps him get over. He's certainly in a better position at the moment than he was the last time we saw him before he got suspended. But Okada is the best part of this entire thing. Okada's great. Whatever they give him to do, whether he's in the ring and he teases doing the Rainmaker pose and then he doesn't do it and he flips everybody off and laughs about it. He is
I'm the learning tree.
He is a fucking great heel.
Thanks, guys.
He is a great heel. And I am enjoying the hell out of it. So, any chance to put Okada over. Because he's the best part of this entire thing. The Bucks attacked before the bell. Caster and Bowens, though, quickly took over. The Bucks took control back during the commercial break. The Bowens had a bad leg. He had a wrap around his hamstring. And so his leg during the course of this match began to fail him. He got hung up in the ropes. The Bucks hit the draping senton off the top. Caster, though, came over to break up the cover that followed. Bowens dodged the EVP trigger. Oh, my God. This fucking guy.
Thanks, guys.
You know, CMLL may not put me on a hit list. I'm putting him on a hit. I'm putting Chris Jericho on my hit list. That's where he's going. Hey, David Thering, thank you very much. But my God, Chris Jericho is on the shit list right now. That's where he's going. It's the thanks guys that gets me. That's what gets me. It's not even the learning tree part. It's the thanks guys. Anyway, Bowens dodged the EVP trigger. He mounted a comeback, but again, the Bucks went after the bad leg with super kicks. The Bucks then pumped up their Reeboks like they were John Cena. Hit a super kick party, but again, Caster made the save, only to get thrown out of the ring. Bowens got free from the Tony Khan driver, but Matt Jackson took the referee. Bowens ended up taking a low blow. The EVP trigger connected, but again, Caster is there to break things up. Matt tried to use one of the tag title belts, but Rick Knox took it away from him as Nick Jackson tried a belt shot, but he decked his brother by accident. Bowens hit the arrival, Caster hit the mic drop, and the Acclaimed got the win. Holy shit. I wrote 2 words here. Holy shit, they won. And not even that the Acclaimed won a match, just holy shit, we had an Eliminator match on AEW television, and the challengers actually won. When was the last time that happened? I can't think of a single one. I'm not saying it's never happened. Maybe once. But I can't think of a single occasion where they did these Eliminator matches and the challenger won. If so, it's been a very long time. But in doing so, it means that they pinned the tag team champions. So yeah, got a great reaction here. But again, it takes the edge off because now we've just seen the champions get pinned. And the likelihood of them being pinned again is very slim anyway. But we already got it. We got, you see the champions get pinned. It's one of my issues with doing these Eliminator matches on TV. But I was just surprised that we actually had the challengers go over for a change. And the Acclaimed had to win. Because if they're going to be part of that Blood and Guts match, and there was no mention made as far as any updates about Blood and Guts, any new additions to it, or the Bucks trying to find a 5th man. There was no real mention of it at all this week. That's taking place. Yeah, they have time. I mean, that's taking place on July 24th. Right now, their focus is Forbidden Door. That show's still a month away. But if they're going to be on Team AEW, then they have to start, winning. Right? They should be winning. They shouldn't be going in there and losing matches. They're going to be teaming up with Swerve Strickland in that match. Samoa Joe and Hook were shown walking through the back. And they're having a conversation. I love the way Joe he's just so casual with him. He's giving him just advice, It's like Hook is his young boy now. And they were going to rush into the Premier Athletes dressing room. As if I am supposed to believe that Tony Nese and Arya Daivari actually have their own locker room, okay? That little sign they taped to the door ain't fooling nobody. It's not fooling me. Like they have their own, you know how big that roster is? You mean to tell me they have their own locker room? Get the fuck out of here. But anyway, they're outside the door. And Joe tells Hook that, look, I want you to be extra when you rush in there. So they bust open the door. The only thing they find, though, there's nobody inside. The only thing they find is a note from Smart Mark Sterling challenging Joe, Hook, and Shibata to a 6-man tag on Collision. Joe and Hook look at the camera. I thought they were looking at the camera. They were looking at the cameraman because as they stood there staring at the camera, eventually we heard what was Shibata's phone doing the talk to text, and he was on board. So that match will be taking place this weekend. We had Mariah May. Yes, indeed. The lovely Mariah May. It was a broom closet. Yeah, you know what? It probably was. They said, hey, where does the janitor stay? Can we borrow his office? Can we borrow his closet for a segment we want to do? And we'll stick the we'll stick the sign for the premier athletes on the door to the janitor's closet. That sounds about right. You know, Bash, you make a very good point. Bash said that Joe is the real learning tree. Fuck Jericho. The real learning tree here is Samoa Joe. Hook is sitting under the learning tree every single week. That's right. See, I'd rather be under that learning tree. But Mariah May was holding court in the ring and looking very lovely tonight. For the contract signing for Toni Storm against Mina Shirakawa of Stardom, coming up at Forbidden Door. Both women come to the ring. And Mariah tells them that, I love you both. And no matter what happens at Forbidden Door, and then she gets cut off by Mina. And Mina said, Mariah, shut up. And Mina Shirakawa proceeds to cut a promo on Toni Storm. And she says, Toni Storm, in Stardom, you were a legend. In AEW, you became a star. But as champion, you got soft. You got weak. Everybody says we want Mina. Nobody wants you. At Forbidden Door, I take your title and my girl. And then she licked the pen and she signed licked the pen and she signed the contract, and the crowd chanted Mina, because who among us is not a fan of Mina Shirakawa? I've become a fan of hers in a very short period of time. She's very charismatic. She's very bubbly. I didn't realize that before she got into wrestling, she was a model. I could see why. She's very bouncy. So now it was Toni Storm's turn. And Toni said that she would slap her bloody tits off if she raised her voice like that to Mariah again. She said, this buffet is wide open, so grab a bowl and line up. Because, darling, I've got some advice for you. Chin up, tits out, and watch for the shoe. And the champion put pen to paper to make the match official. Then Mariah was about to talk, and Mina turned to Mariah and told Mariah, you must choose. It's me or it's her. So we had some drama here. But before anything could happen, here comes Saraya and Harley Cameron. They interrupt. Saraya says that she's so sick of this. But she also says she did not come alone. And at that moment, Anna Jay appeared on the opposite side of the ring, right in front of the announcers. I guess she came out of the crowd. Or under the ring. I don't know. But wherever she came from, there she was. And she pulled Mina out of the ring and sent her into the ring post. Then inside the ring, Saraya, Harley, and Anna, they set the table, the contract signing table, propped it up in the corner against the turnbuckles. Saraya was about to pile drive Mariah when Toni attacked with the shoe. Then hit a German suplex to Saraya, who ended up against the table. She was kind of sitting up against it. Toni set up for sweet cheek music and came charging in, but Saraya moved and Toni put her ass through the table. She took an ass bump and broke the table in half. Saraya went to go leave with her ladies, and you couldn't see it because they cut away, but you could hear it off camera. She called Toni Storm a stupid cow. Meanwhile, Mariah was on stage, standing and embracing Mina, watching all of this unfold, and the announcers accurately pointed out that it was Toni Storm who sacrificed herself for Mariah May, yet Mariah May is up on stage and she is with Mina Shirakawa. And Tony Schiavone couldn't understand why. So the question now is, the drama going into this pay-per-view, who will Mariah May side with at Forbidden Door and coming out of Forbidden Door? That's the big story now, coming out of this match between Toni and Mina. Mariah is going to beat Saraya in the Owen. which is what I predicted after Saraya beat her a few weeks ago. And again, people, not everybody, but there were definitely some people. There was a vocal minority of people that I noticed who were freaking out about this and said, oh, Tony doesn't know what he's doing. Why is he booking Mariah May to lose to Saraya, who's never around and never wins, and what is he doing? And I said, patience, young grasshopper, because we are heading into the Owen with a shot to go to Wembley Stadium to challenge for the title that Saraya won at Wembley Stadium on last year's show. Saraya is going to be in this tournament, and I'll bet you that Mariah is going to get her win back over her in the tournament, maybe even in the finals. They're not in the finals, but they're in the opening round. And Mariah May is going to get her win back. Not only is she going to get her win back, she's going to win the entire thing. This story has been playing out for a very long time now between Toni and Mariah. A few months ago, I was still holding out hope that Jamie Hayter would be medically cleared and she would be back by now. Now I sit here and I'm actually concerned, are we ever going to see her back at all? I mean, I don't know what's going on with her. It was bad enough she got hurt and had to miss that first Wembley show last year. Now it looks like she's going to miss this year too. I mean, how fucked up of an injury was that she had? We still don't even know the extent of it. So I gave up on that. Yeah, and now she would just feel shoehorned in there. Mariah May is the right choice. Mariah May will be the one challenging Toni Storm at Wembley Stadium. And if I'm booking this, Mariah May is going to walk out of Wembley as the new AEW Women's World Champion. I think that's how this pays off in the end. Speaking of the Owen, we had our first quarterfinal match in the Owen Hart tournament on the women's side with Kris Statlander going one-on-one with Nyla Rose.
I am the learning tree.
Oz and Glorious sitting...
Thanks, guys.
Oh, boy. Sitting under the learning tree. Yeah, bid farewell to the learning tree. We had Kris Statlander and Nyla Rose. Owen Hart tournament. Statlander escaped the Beast Bomb and decked Nyla with a great scissor kick for a near fall. Statlander went up top, missed the 450 splash, and ate a flying elbow for 2. Both fought to the corner. Statlander hit a charging boot. And then... Now, Nyla was on the ropes, and Statlander got her in position for a tombstone piledriver and held Nyla and dropped Nyla right on top of her head and pinned Nyla Rose to win and to advance to the next round of the tournament, where she will face Willow Nightingale or Serena Deeb. But say it with me now. It will be Willow Nightingale taking on Kris Statlander in the next round. Serena Deeb, look. Serena Deeb, I'm glad she's back. I'm glad her medical issues are behind her. She's very good at what she does. She ain't moving on in this tournament. We all know that. So we're going to get the Statlander and Willow match. Matter of fact, when the match was over, Stokely Hathaway cut a promo and said that if Willow ever puts her hands on him again, she will end up in a jail cell just like Justin Timberlake. Everybody beating up on Justin Timberlake. Well, you know what? If you drink and drive, have at it. That's what I say. Willow appeared on the big screen. Willow! Sorry. Willow congratulated Statlander on the win. Said that when she defeats Serena Deeb on Rampage, there will be no more running in the next round. Renee was backstage with Private Party, who said that they are taking their momentum from attacking Chris Jericho and the Learning Tree last week into their match with them on Rampage. Now, I thought that match was supposed to take place on Dynamite. Not that I'm complaining at all. But I could have sworn they had announced the match already for Dynamite this week, but apparently it's happening on Rampage. Jericho, the Learning Tree, loudly walks in to the segment here.
I am the learning tree. Thanks, guys.
Not what I meant when I said that Jericho loudly walked into the segment here, but Jericho loudly walked into the segment here. He walks in, and he says that he still wants to give his branches a lesson.
I am the learning tree.
Oh.
Thanks, guys. I am the learning tree. Thanks, guys.
Oh my God. I've created a monster. I've created a monster. What am I going to do here? What am I going to do with this learning tree? I think I may have to chop that fucking tree down myself. You know, this is how people end up having a psychotic break. Jericho wants to give his branches a lesson. He said when he was a luchador, he always avoided the pile drive, and he's screaming this as he's saying this. Okay, he is screaming this because that's his gimmick. He has to screech and scream as he's saying this. He always avoided the pile driver and said whenever the move was suggested to him, he would say, "That doesn't work for me, brother." Again, I don't know if this is supposed to be funny. I don't know. What I do know, though, is that was the only time we had to deal with the learning tree on this television show tonight. Apparently, not the only time we have to deal with it tonight on this stream, but the only time that we had to sit through anything learning tree related on Dynamite. So I'm okay with that. It was relegated to a quick backstage segment. He came in, he screeched, he screamed, he smiled, and he left. Good. He's going to be wrestling on Rampage? I don't even know if he's wrestling. Maybe it's Big Bill and Brian Keith. It may not even be Jericho. But good. Good. I won't be watching. So you can relegate it all you want. Keep it over there. I don't want it over here. We had Daniel Garcia taking on Rhett Titus. Garcia came into this match with a 6-match win streak. And he's had a couple of quick wins now on TV, so obviously they are building him up for something. That something is likely a shot at the International Championship soon. Titus rushed Garcia at the bell and mocked his dance, but then a shotgun dropkick. Garcia slapped on a guillotine choke before planting him with an implant DDT for the quick win. Made short work of Rhett Titus, as he should, because when was the last time we saw Rhett Titus on AEW Dynamite? Right? You make quick work of him, you try to get over the star that you actually are trying to do something with, in this case, that being Daniel Garcia. Now, Matt Menard, who is like his surrogate father, every time Daniel Garcia is out there, he's on commentary, and he's actually very good at commentary, by the way. I think he took over commentary from Jericho on Rampage. He's in the color role now on that show. But every time Garcia has a match, Matt Menard is out there on commentary rooting him on. Matt Menard suddenly is attacked by the Gates of Agony as Brian Cage and Hechicero hit the ring, and they put the boots to Garcia. We got a triple swinging powerbomb. So the Gates of Agony swung Garcia up into the air, and Brian Cage caught him and powerbombed him on the way down. That brought MJF out to the ring. I mean, as soon as I saw Hechicero out there and I saw the baby faces being beaten down, it was only a matter of, okay, where's MJF? So sure enough, they hit his music and he takes his time, but he comes out and then he charges to the ring and he tackles Hechicero. He bites Brian Cage on the face, hit double low blows to the Gates of Agony. The numbers, though, ended up being too much. Cage hit a German suplex. Hechicero then pounced. Pounced? I just made a new word. Pounced. He pounced. You know what? I started to say Hechicero, and I kind of merged the two words together, and I said pounced. That's kind of interesting. This learning tree has completely thrown me off here. Now I'm saying weird things now. But he pounced on MJF, and he started to wrench the arm. But here comes Will Ospreay. Because why not? I mean, why not? Send him on out. Here comes the international champion. He comes running down to the ring. Even the numbers. Double handspring Pele kick connects. That left Osprey and MJF, of course, their backs are turned. And they do the dramatic bump from behind, and then they turn around and they see each other. And we got a face-to-face in the middle of the ring that the fans took as a big deal between MJF and Will Ospreay, the two biggest baby faces in the company right now. And yes, I have Swerve at number 3. As far as baby faces go, I think it's neck and neck with MJF and Ospreay. I'd go Ospreay number 1, frankly. Put MJF number 2 and then Swerve number 3. It's not a bad, 1, 2, 3 to have. But here you got two of the biggest baby faces in the entire company at the moment, locking eyes face to face in the middle of the ring, and the people are into it. They're chanting holy shit. And at that moment, you look at this and go, oh, okay, this could be a direction for Wembley Stadium too. If Ospreay is not going to win the title and not going to be in the Owen, what is he going to do, right? There's that little matter of Ricochet, who may be a free agent soon and could very well end up on that Wembley Stadium show. And I could see Will Ospreay wrestling Ricochet. I could see Will Ospreay losing the international title to Ricochet on that show if Ricochet were to be brought in. But now they're teasing MJF and Will Ospreay, and you hear the people. Now imagine that match at Wembley in front of 40 or 50,000 people, right? That would be a big match. So they don't come to blows or anything like that. MJF leaves the ring through the crowd. Garcia stares at Ospreay's international title, but they kind of, pay respect to each other as Ospreay leaves the ring. So in one segment, they teased MJF against Will Ospreay. They teased Will Ospreay against Daniel Garcia for the international title. We got a little preview of MJF and Hechicero, which we know is taking place at Forbidden Door, and even a tease, in a way, of Osprey and Brian Cage, which we now know is official because they had a run-in in the back after this where Cage tried to come at him and they had to be separated. And Brian Cage threw out the challenge and Will Ospreay accepted. And on Collision this Saturday, he will defend the international title against Brian Cage. So we had a lot of things going on here in this segment. But again, Osprey and MJF is an interesting direction here. That could very well, you look at that match, right? Let's say that this was a little preview of what's to come at Wembley Stadium. That could very well be an AEW World Championship match. Now, I don't know how they get there if MJF is not the wild card in the Owen, which he certainly could end up being. But you could have Osprey win the title, you have MJF win the Owen as the wild card. That's how you get there. I think that is the least likely of all of these scenarios to play out. Because I don't think either of those things are going to happen. Swerve, I think, is going to retain. He should retain. And I think the wild card spot is going to somebody else. But if they wanted this to be a championship match, they could. I just don't think it has to be, and I don't think it will be. Our main event was a quarterfinal match in the men's Owen Hart tournament with Claudio Castagnoli going one-on-one with Pac. The last time that I saw these two men in the ring together one-on-one is the last time that all of you saw this one-on-one. For those of you who actually watched the Ring of Honor pay-per-view last summer, which I'm sure was not many of you, but they had a match last summer, almost a year ago, and it was very good. And this match was also very good. No surprise there, given who was involved.
Do you
Bryan,
feel him, sir?
I do feel him. Hey, Madison. Thank you for the super chat. Madison coming in hot here with the super chat. Canadian 12. What is, oh boy.
I'm the learning tree.
That's the American 12.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I wish they would give me the corresponding number in
I'm the learning
American
tree.
American
Thanks, guys.
currency. Fuck you. Fuck you. Hey, David, thank you.
I the learning tree. Thanks, guys.
M. Mills, thank you. Look at it. All the love here coming in.
I am the learning tree.
Oh,
Thanks, guys.
man. Chris Manson. Is it safe? I think it's safe. Okay, Bryan Danielson was on commentary here for this main event, and they were pushing the fact that we are going to be getting Dragon versus Dragon at Forbidden Door. It is going to be Bryan Danielson in the Owen in the opening round, opening quarterfinal, whatever they're calling it. It's in the Owen, and it will be Bryan Danielson and Shingo Takagi, and I am so ready for that match. Shingo Takagi is fucking awesome. Bryan Danielson is one of the greatest of all time. You take those two. Now, have they had a match? I don't believe they have. I don't believe that they have had a match before. This may be the first time. But it don't matter to me if it was the first time or the 15th time. Sign me up, man. That is a great match, and the fact it's happening in the opening round is crazy to me. But I am ready for that. So we had a fast start here by Pac, who hit quick drop kicks. Claudio regrouped on the outside, but it was just a way to sucker Pac in. When he came outside, he ate a huge pop-up uppercut. He launched this guy into orbit. I mean, he propelled him into the air, and then it was like time stood still, and he stood there for a second, and then he came down, and he caught this guy with a huge uppercut. So they go to picture-in-picture. We come back. Pac sidestepped a charge. Claudio posted himself. A Hurricane Rana off the apron. Springboard moonsault hit perfectly by Pac. Claudio looked like he was going to catch a moonsault off the apron by Pac, but Pac spun it into a DDT. And then a top rope springboard elbow back inside for the 2 count. Pac wanted a shooting star press, rolled through, and got blasted by a violent uppercut for 2. Claudio did the giant swing. Pac was flailing around for all 10 revolutions before being leveled by another lariat for a near fall.
I am the learning tree. Thanks, guys.
You know, this is how serial killers are created. Just so you know. This is how it starts. This is how people go on murderous rampages. Thank you, Esru. Never thought I would be so happy to see Dave Bautista get head. But thank God for that. Oz and Gloria, and people, of course, are listening to that on the audio going, what the fuck is he talking about? Because they can't see the super chats. The Ricola bomb the Ricola bomb was countered into the brutalizer on Claudio, who was standing, but he started to fade. Claudio, though, rolled out into a sharpshooter. He had it in deep and then transitioned into a crossface. And at that point, we got a crazy number of pin attempts from both men, trading pin attempts back and forth, until finally Pac took him over with a crucifix pin, and he got the 3 count to advance to the next round, where he will either face Bryan Danielson or he will face Shingo Takagi. We will find out who at Forbidden Door. Danielson's on commentary. He sees Claudio, his fellow Blackpool Combat Club member, and he is shocked by the finish of this match, really selling the surprise of it. Pac wants to show respect and shake hands. Claudio, though, declines to do so. And he peers over at Danielson. Didn't look very happy. And he peers over at Danielson over at the commentary desk as he's leaving. Pac then stared down Danielson from the ring to end the show. This was a hell of a match in this main event. And no matter who wins at Forbidden Door, we all win because we're either going to get Pac against Bryan Danielson in the next round or Pac against Shingo Takagi. And I don't care which one it is. If you ask me, which one do you want? The answer is yes. That's it. Now, do I think Shingo Takagi is going to win and beat Bryan Danielson when Danielson is basically on this, retirement tour of sorts? And he's talking about how important it is to him to try to, one last shot for him to try to become AEW World Champion before he winds down his full-time run, which he has said he will do after Wrestle Dream, which is going to be in, I think, is it in Seattle? I think it's in Seattle. It's in his home state. So the story is there. Danielson, at the very least, has to go to the finals of this tournament, one would think. Depending on who that wild card is, who it turns out to be, Bryan Danielson, when you look at that bracket, let me bring it up here. Let me put it back on screen so we could take a look at it. You look at this bracket, the wild card is on that side down there. And again, we don't know yet who that person is going to be. But let's assume that I'm right, and it is Hangman Adam Page. And it's not MJF. And it doesn't end up, being Will Ospreay, who loses, let's say, at Forbidden Door, but then ends up being the wild card in this tournament. Let's say it's Hangman. Put the wild card aside. Look at the names on this list. Who do you think is the favorite to win this tournament? It's Bryan Danielson. So it all comes down to the wild card. I think Hangman Page is going to win the Owen. That tells me that we're in for a Swerve Strickland Hangman Page main event for the AEW World title at Wembley Stadium, which then opens up Will Ospreay for MJF, Ricochet, right? He could have any number of opponents on that show. I would have expected him to be in the main event. I would have expected him to be challenging for the World Championship. Every day that goes by, it's looking increasingly likely to me that will not be the case. But I really do think it would be a mistake to take that title away from Swerve at Forbidden Door and not wait at least until Wembley at All In. I really do. I think it would be a slap in his face to take it from him this quickly and not give him the chance to have a little bit longer of a run with it, especially when Ospreay doesn't need it this soon. I mean, he doesn't necessarily need it in August either, but, August would put a little more distance between now and then. It would give Swerve a little more time to do his thing. That's kind of how I see things shaping up right now. I am leaning towards a Swerve Hangman main event with a Will Ospreay match right underneath. And Nigel McGuinness continues to be a menace on commentary to Bryan Danielson. He has been every week for the past year. The way that Bobby Heenan would needle Hogan at every opportunity on commentary, that's what Nigel's been doing to Danielson now for the better part of a year. If ever Nigel McGuinness was going to have a return match against Bryan Danielson at Wembley Stadium, would be the perfect scenario. Did you hear the comment that Nigel made? I think it was on Collision. On Saturday. Again, he was going off again on Bryan. And he mentioned the fact that he used to be vegan, but he couldn't quit eating brie. It's like, this man, he's a menace. He's an absolute menace. How can we not get Danielson and Nigel? Nigel is apparently close to coming back. He almost came back last year. Danielson was hurt, right? He couldn't be there. If he stays healthy, knock on wood. Okay, I don't have any wood here, but if I did, I'd be banging on it right now that Danielson can stay healthy between now and then. We know how that goes with Danielson. I want to put him in like a fucking bubble and keep him in there until we get to these big shows. That should be a Wembley Stadium match, though. But this was a strong effort tonight. They opened hot with the MJF Roosh match. They closed with a great main event. There was a lot of story development in the middle of the show. The Daniel Garcia match even against Rhett Titus, it was a quick squash, basically. But it led to something post-match where we got that stare down for the first time with MJF and Osprey. And they're still teasing that Daniel Garcia wants a shot at the international title. He wants a shot at Will Ospreay. That match is going to happen at some point. So even that served a purpose. We had the contract signing for the women's match. I enjoyed the face-off with Swerve and Osprey. The Acclaimed winning the Eliminator match. That entitles them now to a future tag team championship match. Maybe that happens at Forbidden Door. We'll see. So I thought this was a very strong episode of Dynamite. Probably the best episode of Dynamite that I have seen them do in many weeks. I enjoyed this show. Very much so. Let's take a look at the poll here. See if you guys enjoyed this show. 56.5% thumbs up. 20% thumbs in the middle. 23.4% thumbs down. So a little under 60% thumbs up. That's probably the best score that Dynamite has gotten in quite some time. And I would go higher than that personally. But you can vote right now at Solomonster on X. There's Bryan Danielson. You have just been fined. He dev to dust. You have been fined by Bryan Danielson. A lot of people getting fined by Bryan Danielson tonight.
It's a direction you can fuck.
Oh, The Rock is definitely getting fined by Bryan Danielson. What a fucking potty mouth on this guy. David Theory with the $23. Gonna be putting that money in the swear jar. Oh, fucking goddamn it. Damn motherfucker. You know, if I had a swear jar in front of me, this thing would be overflowing right now. Always hits me at the exact wrong moment. I'm gonna be having nightmares about this guy. I'm gonna hear that in my sleep. That's where I'm gonna hear it. I'm gonna wake up in a cold sweat at 4 o'clock in the morning when I hear, "Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys." My God. Oh my goodness. What have I done? What have I created here? I've created a monster. All right, let's take a look at your many super chats. See a lot of 12s here, but we'll go through all of them here from the beginning. Thank you for the support. I do appreciate it. Let's see here. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's kick things off with Uffman Entertainment. Oh, so apparently we are here at the beginning of the list. Uffman Entertainment with the $15 from earlier. The Grimace streak ends at 7. I take it the Mets did not have a good day. What a shock. Rojo Bear, 24. MJF should be the wild card and win the whole thing. I could also see Bryan win and put Swerve over at All In. I'm cool with both possible outcomes. It could be that I said Bryan Danielson at this exact moment, not knowing who the wild card is. Bryan Danielson is the favorite in this tournament, and Bryan Danielson going into the main event at Wembley Stadium, trying to win that AEW World Title for the very first time. Absolutely, I could see that as a possibility. Absolutely. Jake Jones with the 1999. Not one to brag, but I called Danielson versus Shingo last week on the show. Smart match to make. Thanks for all you do, Solo. Much love, brother. That's right, Jake did. Shout out to Jake. Thank you very much. Be calm, see clearly. He couldn't give up eating brie. Nigel has to be stopped. Wembley Stadium, Nigel versus Danielson in a retirement match. Now, so you had me until you said retirement match. Nigel has been retired for many years. So it just rings hollow. The fact that Nigel has been retired for over a decade now, and Danielson has said he is going to be retiring full-time in a few months, there's no point. There's no point in making it a retirement match. You don't need to. Nigel just, he makes one comment too many, you know, sets off Bryan, puts things in motion. You do the match. You don't need any silly stipulations. Just do the match one-on-one. RB65. Awesome Dynamite. An awesome time hanging out with the chat. I know the Grimace streak is over for the Mets, but do you think this is the turnaround for them? I hope so. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. You know what? I've given up trying to figure out if this is the turning point. Is that the turning point? I try not to think about it. I just want it to happen. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to get my hopes up, because every time I get my hopes up, they break my heart. So I'm not even going to try. Jerome Eugenio, is New Japan just continuing its storyline with Monet once she gets her belt at Forbidden Door? I don't know what storyline you're talking about. Yes, they wanted to put the belt on her. I don't know who they had in mind for her as far as opponents, if they're going to just go back to that same exact plan or not, but they wanted her to be the first champion. She got hurt. And yes, I think they're going to put the strong belt on her at Forbidden Door, and they wanted her all along. She was the one they wanted. Habili with the $6. If Roman didn't leave after WrestleMania and Jimmy gets kicked out of the Bloodline, what is the main event of Backlash? Rematch with Cody or 6-man tag match, the OG Bloodline against Cody, Jay, and Seth? Well, it would not have been that because Seth was hurt. So, you know, maybe a WrestleMania main event. I mean, that's what Backlash used to be. Backlash used to, I mean, it's in the name. Where do you think the name Backlash comes from? Backlash, in many cases, was, you know, like a WrestleMania, like in '99 it was, Austin and Rock, right? They had their rematch for the championship. Trying to think back to some of those other Backlash shows, but yeah, maybe Roman and Cody, maybe. Isaiah Roca, missed the stream Monday because I was at the show. Be honest, were we corpses? Because it was certainly loud in the building. As always, thank you for all you do, Solo. We are grateful to have you. I am grateful to have you as well, Isaiah. Thank you. You were better than many times in the past, but there were definitely a lot of segments on the show that did not come across on television as if you guys were terribly enthusiastic. I'm trying to be diplomatic about it. It was not as dead of a Corpus Christi crowd, as it has been before, but it didn't come across great on TV. The Real CS with the $9.99. I think the final member of the Wyatt group is Bray's spirit. They're carrying around his lantern, and I think the direction they're going in is in their sick and twisted mind, they think he is still there. I don't know if that's the idea, but I do think the Wyatt 6, I think Bray is the 6th one. Yeah. I mean, it didn't hit me immediately on Monday night, but I was talking a little bit about that with JD on TNT last night. And yeah, I think Bray is the 6th member of the group. Chris AXC with the $5. Never thought I would see a day where TNA had more buzz than AEW. Better X of a theme song getting someone over. Better example, he says, of a theme song getting somebody over. Glorious Bobby Roode or Joe Hendry? I would say Bobby Roode, just because Joe Hendry has had a few different songs, right, that he has composed. He's had some spoofs. I think Joe Hendry was over or starting to get over even before the theme song started to catch on. Glorious, that was Bobby Roode's whole thing. You know, that was his whole gimmick. It was all based around the Glorious song and the pose and all that. Arby with the $12 learning tree.
I am the learning tree.
It's like fucking Beetlejuice. It's like Joe Hendry. Say his name and he appears. RB says, this is for you and the chat. Who do you hate more? Jericho Learning Tree or the House of Torture? I think the Jericho Learning Tree is torture. By the way, I fucking hate the House of Torture. Also, I would be friends with Maze. Yes, I think everybody in the chat would be friends with Maze. We're all friends with Maze. Maze the Great. In the chat. He has many friends here. Hey, that's me. You can tell I'm a Samoa Joe fan. David Thiering, is the learning tree gimmick really the learning tree or is it the TP, toilet paper tree? I sure would like to know. Thanks, guys. Carry on solo. It belongs in the toilet. That's where it belongs. Thank you, David. Oz and Glorious. Says the solo branch monster. I would rather watch 2 hours of TV time with the learning tree commercial free than watch another 10 seconds of Disco Garcia on TV. Did you attempt to rhyme or was that just a coincidence? I would rather watch 2 hours of TV time with the learning tree commercial free rather than Garcia on TV. You're like Dr. Seuss. Thank you, Oz. Oz also says the Jeff Jarrett slander makes me sad. I personally love seeing the old WCW, ECW guys on TV while we still can. Hey, you can see him all you want to, brother, but under normal circumstances, he has no fucking business being in a tournament to crown a number one contender for the world title in the main event of All In. Now, again, in this case, him being a good friend of Owen's, I'm sure that has something to do with him being in the tournament, and so, cool. But this being a number one contender spot on the line for the main event of Wembley Stadium, he has no business being in there under normal circumstances. There is no justification for that. I don't care how many other world titles he has won in other companies. If this was any other tournament, if this was a regular number one contenders tournament for their biggest show of the year, it would be a fucking embarrassment to look at the talent they have on this roster. You look at the names that they have that could potentially be in the former champions that they could potentially put in this tournament, and you see Jeff Jarrett taking up a spot. It's not even a big 16-man, 32-man bracket where it's like, all right, we'll slip Jeff Jarrett in there and he'll do the job in the opening round. You know, there aren't that many spots to be had. But in this case, again, I'm sure with the Owen Hart connection, that has to do with why he's in the tournament. David Thiering with another 12. Solo is going to have PTSD by 2025 after hearing and seeing all of these Jericho chats. But I could see people having nightmares. It is so bad. Why does he screech? Why does he scream? He's trying too hard. Oz says, was the Mina, Toni, Saraya, Mariah, Harley, Anna Jay part of the show the sexiest wrestling segment since the Attitude Era? Well, somebody missed hot lesbian action on Raw. That was technically, the Attitude Era was over by that point. So that was not the Attitude Era. So, no. Brother Fluff Salisbury, I hope we see Prince Nana dance during the Acclaimed's rap entrance at Blood and Guts. Thank you, Fluff. Esru, no one is finer than Mina. I'll see myself out. Esru, thank you. EJ Slemp, rest in peace to the GOAT. Willie Mays. Willie Mays passed away this week. The age of 93. Arguably the greatest baseball player that ever lived. I say arguably because some people might say Babe Ruth. I think it's Willie Mays. But I won't shout you down if you think that it's the Bambino. I'm going to talk about Willie a little bit on the show on Sunday. Maybe at the end. But that's a big loss. Prince Vegeta 95, my idea. So Chad Gable qualifies for Money in the Bank. He wins the match, but cashes in on a prize better than the Intercontinental title. He wins the world title, gets a small run with it, and faces Gunther at SummerSlam in a classic. I got a better idea. I actually pitched it on TNT last night. And I'm not saying that I think it's likely to happen. There's certainly a chance it could happen. But Gable is the one, before he got murdered, who said in the backstage segment on Monday that I'm going to go cash in Money in the Bank. Well, assuming he qualifies. He's going to win Money in the Bank, and he's going to become World Heavyweight Champion. Gunther is going to go to SummerSlam, let's say, and win the World Heavyweight Championship. You have Gable cash in on Gunther at SummerSlam after he wins. And he gets his revenge by beating Gunther to become World Heavyweight Champion. Now, it sounds very far-fetched. Again, it's very unlikely. But if you were going to do a scenario like what you just proposed, it would be far better for him to just get one over on Gunther by taking the title away from him and cashing in right after he wins it. And he gets his revenge for what he did to him the previous year. The thing is, though, even if he does that, he's going to drop it right back to Gunther at Bash in Berlin. So it's not going to last very long. But at least the poor guy would get some measure of revenge. Deb to Dust, how did you react when the Giants beat the Patriots twice in the Super Bowl in 42 and 46? I'm not like a huge Giants fan. My brother is a huge Giants fan. I'm more of a Jets guy, and even the Jets, I'm like, lately. But yeah, the David Tyree catch, you know, I mean, it's the stuff of legend. You know, that first time, and what did they were the one, right, in 18-1, I think it was. The Giants were the one, I think, in 18-1 for the Patriots that season. And I had a couple of friends who were big Patriots fans, and I fucking tortured them with that. I have a t-shirt, actually. I bought a t-shirt that some website made. It just says like 18-1 on it. And I would wear it. Every time I would be with my friends, I would wear it. Didn't say anything else. You would not, if you were not a football fan, you would have no concept of what it even meant. But I would wear it anyway. Madison, I am the learning tree. Thanks, guys. Yes, thank you, Madison. There's the Father of the Year, Christian Cage. Oz coming in with the $2 super chat. We had a great Father's Day celebration with Christian last weekend on Collision. Sean Nilsson, the Nasty Boy, is here. This super chat is sick. He dropped the learning tree as well. It's making me sick. But it is very popular. It's all in support of the show. I appreciate it. Boy, you guys, the way you time it sometimes, I tell you. I'll tell you, man. David Thiering with the $12 learning tree. Just when you think we are done with the learning tree. Cue John Cena meme. Are you sure about that? Okay, I am done. I'll leave Solo alone for tonight. Carry on. David, I always appreciate your patronage and your support. Thank you. M. Mills, thank you. Chris Manson, thank you as well. The Real CS, I think the wild card is Hangman Page. I think you're right. I think you're on to something. Esru, join the learning tree. Join us. No. Oz and Glorious, I am fucking dying at all of these learning trees. Dev to Dust, favorite Europop song, Blue by Eiffel 65 or Dragostea Tinde by Ozone. I love that song. I love that song. Dragostea Tinde is a favorite of mine. I'm going to go with that one. I've played that song many times. David Thiering with the $23 super chat. This, ladies and gentlemen, the super chat is what Solomonster is thinking right now, seeing all of these learning trees coming in. Off is the direction you can fuck. David, thank you. Alexander Fitzgerald, Hangman is the Joker and faces Swerve at All In. Nigel costs Danielson his match, and we get Nigel again. Okay, so that's interesting. So Bryan Danielson goes all the way to the finals, and the reason he loses is because Nigel McGuinness, he simply cannot stand the idea of Danielson headlining in his home country at Wembley Stadium. He can't stomach the thought of it. And he does something, he gets involved in some form or fashion. He costs Bryan the match. It's a shocking thing because we have not seen Nigel get physical at any point. Maybe there's a ref bump. I think you're onto something. Renzo, you should do a top 10 of Hogan's Tall Tales. I've covered Hogan's Tall Tales many times before, and there's a hell of a lot more than 10. It's hard to narrow them down to just 10. That would take me a while. Where are we at on the likes, by the way? For those of you who want to be the booker, hit that like button. Chris Manson, looking at the women's bracket, does this mean no Jamie Hayter for Wembley? I am sad face. Unfortunately, that's exactly what it means. I don't know what is going on with her. I really didn't think the injury was that serious that it would keep her out for over a year. But here we are. Whatever it was a lot more serious than anybody expected. But unfortunately, it looks like she's going to miss, unless she makes a surprise return on the show. Unfortunately, it's not looking good for her to be on there. The Juliet can't get the Joe Hendry song after last night. Can't get it out of your head, you mean? I believe in Joe Hendry. Or I did before he got eliminated first in the Battle Royal on NXT. BCOM see clearly. Where the fuck is Athena? Tony Khan might be... Well, let's not say that. Willow Nightingale won the Owen last year. Let's not talk about racism here. That's a stupid... On Juneteenth of all things. That was a stupid thing to say. Come on. But yes, Athena should be on TV and she's not. And that makes me very sad. EJ Slemp, I was in New York City last week, and I went to Citi Field for the first time. I also went to Juniors on 49th. I remember you recommended it, and it was great. Yeah, Juniors is great. I've been there many times. You know what Juniors has? And Juniors is known for their cheesecake. But you know what Juniors has? It's actually very good. Chicken noodle soup. I'm a big chicken soup guy. If I go anywhere, I have to sample the chicken noodle soup.
I am the learning tree. Thanks, guys.
So, believe it or not, that is something I used to go there for and I would get all the time. So I'm glad that you had fun there and that you like the food. Juniors is a staple in New York City. Rojo Bear. I thought of something a while ago. What if Ricky Starks is the wild card? Well, that would be nice. I'm not expecting it, but that would be nice. Oz and Glorious, Double J in the main event at All In, take my money. And paging ABK for a few dozen $12 super chat. ABK is not with us tonight. Wherever he may be, I hope he is doing well. BCOM see clearly. Let's say Athena is on TV again. Who does she feud with? My three picks are Toni Storm, Mercedes Moné, and Willow Nightingale for Wembley. Yeah, I mean, Athena and Mercedes that's an easy one. Athena and Willow. I guess it also depends if Athena stays heel or not. She's a babyface. You could do her and Statlander. That would be great. She's got a whole host of opponents that she could be working with on that AEW roster, and I just hope she gets the chance to do so. I don't know that she ever will, but I hope she gets the chance. Chris Manson, I grew up with tons of Euro dance and freestyle music. My favorites are Be My Lover and Another Night. Brother, I grew up with those same songs, and they used to be on those CDs that would come out. You know, now that's what I call music, volume 23. But when I was younger, and I would go out to, we had these like dances, and they would have them at the school and the gymnasium. There was another place they would have like these local dances, and all the kids from school would go out, and you know, everybody had their crush. So I'd be dancing with the girls and all that. It was very popular at that time, and you know, was dancing with different girls, and those were the songs that they would play. So it would be was CC Peniston, like finally, you know, finally it's happened to me. Like that was a popular one. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of all the names now of those songs, but like there were so many of them. Be My Lover was a popular one at that time. I have a lot of those songs in my playlist. You know, I still listen to that stuff. Hadaway, right? Baby, don't hurt me no more. What is love? Yeah. Now every time I think about that music puts a smile on my face. You're taking me back. You're taking me back now to my youth.
Look at Richie Rich over here.
Oh my
dropping
goodness.
All this money on me. Hey, I just want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean the rock, a rock, you rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
Boots. Ooh, I almost knocked my thing over. I got so excited, Boots, I almost wrecked my shit here. Boots just put $100 down on the table here on this stream. That is the top super chat of the night. Boots is bringing the heat. I like when I see those red bubbles in the chat. That's what I like to see. Blood red. Hey, Boots, man, thank you. No message. He's just showing love. Just dropping a $100 super chat. Am I a hip-hop fan? Yeah, I like hip-hop. I don't know about a lot of the modern stuff necessarily, but yeah. You're Real McCoy. That's right, yes. Real McCoy. Oh, man. Now you got me wanting to like go through the Spotify playlist over here. Things I could tell you. Let's see. We got Chris Mikesell. Much love to you as well, my friend. Thank you. The Learning Sicko Dr. Bropio. No learning tree. Just wanted to say thanks, guys. Thank you, Bropio. The Real CSO2 was listening to Shatter, Bray's last theme, and there's a hidden message in it. It's kind of eerie to listen to, that part now that he is gone. So you say that, but you don't tell me what the hidden message is. What is the hidden message? Oh my God, Gina G. Ooh ah, just a little bit. Ooh ah, a little bit more. My God, you guys are taking me back. You know, we also had this thing where the local bowling alley, we had this thing called Glow Bowl. And so it would be dark, and the lanes were like glow in the dark lanes, and they would have a DJ like right in the middle of the alley, and he would be playing music like this as well. It just fit the vibe, you know? Prince Vegeta. Favorite Spielberg movie? Mine is Jurassic Park. Jaws. Right? I mean, come on. Jaws. BCom see clearly. He says Solo, Tony. Oh man, this is going quick. This list is going quick here. Solo, I know Tony Khan is not racist. Not to mention Swerve is the champion, along with Monet being champion. By the way, Solo, I'm giving you a black card. Don't fuck it up. You know, it's funny. I had somebody email me once and tell me something similar. Like I've been welcomed into some kind of community here. I feel so I feel so blessed that you would welcome me in. I'll try not to let you down. Thank you, Be Calm. See clearly. The Shockmaster with the $12 says, one last learning tree since we got the 400 likes, and it is Be the Booker time. Hope we don't land on Jericho. Well, you know what? We might. We might. It's certainly possible. Hopefully you didn't just jinx it, and then we end up landing on Jericho, which did we land on him recently? I can't remember now if we did or not.
I am the learning tree.
Oh my.
Thanks,
God.
guys.
Shaking with rage. Urgh. Oh, good. This will bring my blood pressure to... Oh my God. I thought this was... I just saw the 200. Holy shit. I did not see the number there.
We're having a party here on the street.
Oh my God. Uffman Entertainment.
I am the learning tree.
Reigning on his
Thanks, guys.
parade is the Shockmaster. He has reigned on Uffman's parade. But Uffman Entertainment just dropped a $200 super chat bomb.
Oh my God, a super chat bomb.
Oh.
That's a bigger bomb than the New York Mets.
Uffman says Mariah, Mina, Toni, Saraya, Harley, Anna, then Statlander. In a match, I nearly died tonight due to all of these glorious women on the show. Control yourself. If Mama Wayne, Thunder Rosa, and/or Sky Blue had shown up, would have died with a smile on my face. Thank you, Tony Khan. We gotta get you to a strip club or something, Uffman. I think Uffman needs to blow off some steam. You know, that $200 would get you a few lap dances at the strip joint. I'm just saying. We gotta take this man out one of these nights. Uffman, thank you, man. $200 bomb just made my night right there. Brother, I appreciate it, and I appreciate all your help every week in the chat. You know that. Holding down the fort, you and all the other mods, so thank you very much. Wow. SNK Fan 01, are you getting the Mama Waby shirt on AEW? It means Wayne. The Mama Wayne shirt on AEW shop. Now look, I like Mama Wayne, but why am I gonna walk around with a shirt that literally says Nick Wayne's mom on it? Like, that's the best they could come up with. It literally says Nick Wayne's mom. I'm going to wear a shirt that says someone else's mom on it. Who the fuck comes up with these shirts? No, I'm not getting it. Dom with the $4.99. Night at the Roxbury was legendary. We still play 90s Euro dance every day, Friday at work. Darude Sandstorm. It's another classic. I'm also, you know, believe it or not, and some of you may not even recognize the name. I'm a Paul Oakenfold guy. So you throw some Paul Oakenfold in there. That's good too. It's good shit. The Real CS02. The lyric goes time to die, and so on. Just go back and re-listen to it when you get the time. Okay, I will have to. I did not know that. Apparently that's the hidden message in Shatter. Obviously it wasn't meant to be a hidden message. That would be very eerie if it was. And Uffman with another 5. I smoked a cigarette after the Statlander match. Well, don't do that. Cigarettes are terrible for you. There are other ways for you to blow off steam. You don't need to be smoking a cigarette. But thank you, Uffman. Uffman with another 5. Man, you guys have killed it tonight. You almost killed me. But that's okay. Because guess what? We are currently sitting at 400 and... What is the number here? Let me check and see what the updated number is. It is 413. 413 likes here on the stream. And you know what that means. Between that and all your super chats, you guys have unlocked Be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen,
oh God, look who it is.
Be the Booker.
I can't get away from him. I forgot that I put this in here for tonight. Oh my God. It's the learning tree. I can't get away from this guy. I can't. They're gonna find me on the street corner, you know, the the cops are gonna find me on some street corner up in like Harlem or something. And they're going to see me, I'm going to be talking to myself. I'm going to be like muttering to myself on the street. I'm going to be going, the learning tree. I can't. Thanks, guys. And they're going to go like, what's wrong with him? They're going to think I'm on drugs. They're going to think I'm on bath salts or something. And they're going to throw me in a padded room. All right. Tag team Be the Booker. Here we go. Well, at least I know we're safe here, because Jericho is not in any of the tag teams. Actually, you know what? He might be. I take that back. I think Jericho is in here. Oh, shit. All right. Well, very, very unlikely that we are going to land on them. We're going to begin here with the Creed brothers, Julius and Brutus Creed, the former NXT Tag Team Champions, and if they know what they're doing, soon to be World Tag Team Champions on Monday Night Raw. There they are. And it will be the Creed brothers here kicking us off in Be the Booker. Stepping into the ring with Los Guerreros, Eddie and Chavo. Chavito. What a match that would be. Eddie and Chavo against the Creed. That would be a fucking great match. Wow. That would be a great match. These two in their prime doing their Los Guerreros run from 2002 against the Creed brothers, man. I like that. That's a Be the Booker special right there. All right. Off to a great start here. Women's Be the Booker. BCOMC clearly says, I would go straight for Megan Thee Stallion. Oh, I would go straight for Megan Thee Stallion. Okay, I see what you're saying. Thank you, BCOMC clearly. Okay, women's Be the Booker. No. No, why does he keep appearing on my screen? Okay. I don't know why. What did I do? Bull Nakano. Who was inducted this year into the WWE Hall of Fame, and deservedly so. Bull Nakano. Bull Nakano would be able to throw down with anybody on the women's roster today in any company. Bull Nakano going to be taking on former NWA Women's Champion Camille, who supposedly is under contract to AEW, and if she is, I don't know what they're waiting for. She's been MIA. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully we'll get to see her soon. All right, here we go. It is now time for our Be the Booker main event. You know who is among all of the names that I have mixed in here to Be the Booker. Tonight, I don't want to see his face. If I see his face, I think I just might crack. We begin, speaking of crazy, Mr. Bob Backlund, former WWE champion Bob Backlund, Bowtie Bob. Look at the ears on this guy. What a weird looking dude. But I did love that Mr. Backlund run. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. What match are we going to come up with here? What match are we going to conceive of here? Bob Backlund. Uh-oh. Liv Morgan gives you her room key. Now pick a stip. Oh shit, we gotta pick a stipulation. Well, we gotta spin again, but then we gotta pick a stipulation. How about that? I guess we gotta, you know what? We have to pick the stipulation first. Those are the rules. Liv Morgan gives you her key card. You better be picking a stipulation. Well, before we pick the opponent, we gotta pick a stip. Here we go. It's been a while since we've done this. All right. We are going to have ourselves, oh God, a TLC match. Bob Backlund is going to be in a tables, ladders, and chairs match. That sounds like a terrible idea. Why is Malachi Black on my screen? Get out of here. Okay. Bob Backlund in a TLC match. This is already a fail. Just so you know. I don't know who I have to land on to convince me to ring the bell, but this is not going to be good. Rest in peace, Bob Backlund. This is not going to be a good situation for Mr. Backlund. It's going to be the worst TLC match ever. All right, Bob Backlund, one-on-one. Oh, man, Bob Backlund and Gunther in a tables, ladders, and chairs match. That stipulation is just the worst possible stipulation for a match involving either of these. Like, it doesn't fit either of these men. And yet I love it so much. I have to. I have to. I can't help myself. I want to see that match now. Am I sick? Is there something wrong with me? Don't answer that. I actually want to see that match now. That's one of the weirdest matches I think that we have ever booked in that segment. Bob Backlund and Gunther in a tables, ladders, and chairs match. That's how you know it's random, because who the hell would come up with that? Gunther can make it work. He can make anything work. As long as he does most of the climbing. I don't think Bob should be climbing. God, I would love to see Bob trying to sell a Gunther chop. Oh boy. And Luis, with the final super chat in my Eddie voice. Orale, viva mi, what does that say? Viva mi raza. It's viva la raza. Not viva mi raza. Luis, thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Oh man, what a night. What a night. We had a strong episode of Dynamite that I very much enjoyed. And then this is going to forever be known as the tree debacle. This will be known as the tree episode. I have a tree outside. I did not want to rant tonight, but my car sits under a tree outside. And I'm grateful to have the spot that I do. It's not technically my house or anything, but it's right out there. The problem is, this car is covered in tree sap. So I have a very hateful relationship with trees. So when these learning trees started popping up tonight, you have no idea. I spent 45 minutes outside earlier today in the 85-degree heat trying to scrub all of the bird sap, the bird shit, but there was more tree sap than bird shit, trying to scrub the tree sap off the windshield on the front of the car and the back of the car. because it is so thick and it just, I can't see. Like if I try to drive this car at night when it has the sap all over it, I can't see. And God help me if I use the windshield wipers, because that just makes it worse. Now you get streaks all over the place. So like I've read that you should use rubbing alcohol and that would work. So I spray rubbing alcohol all over the windshield and leave it for a minute. And then I have glass cleaner and I'm rubbing and I'm trying to circular motion, you know, the whole deal. And I mean, this stuff is so thick. It's just so lumpy. And it's almost impossible to get this shit out. And I stand there and I hand wash it. And there's no point, because 2 days later, it'll be covered all over again. I fucking hate these trees. I would chop every single one of them down if I could. I'd be like what's that lumberjack guy? What was that guy's name? The lumberjack? Paul Bunyan? Whatever his name was. That would be me. I'd have my flannel shirt on. I'd have my axe. I would chop every fucking tree down on this block if I knew I could get away with it. Only my luck, the tree would fall this way on top of the house and it would crush me and I'd be homeless. So I won't do that. But I can't stand the birds. I can't stand the trees. Solomonster and nature. There's just something about this match and I'm losing. Okay. I'm fighting a losing battle here. I don't know what to do. By the way, if there is something better than rubbing alcohol to use to try to get tree sap out off of a car windshield, please tell me. If there is some magic product I'm not aware of that I think or that you think would be helpful, please let me know. This shit sucks. It really does. Jin Owns with the $2 super chat. Quick thought on the Raw crowd on Monday. It was marginally better than I expected it to be, but not great. It was still not a great crowd. Shout out to Maze, who has been a channel member here for 36 months. I was looking back at an old classic title belt shoot. Got me thinking, how do you think Samoa Joe would have done as ECW champion? I think Samoa Joe would have been a fantastic ECW champion. Just like he was a fantastic Ring of Honor champion. That he would have been in ECW had the original ECW lived on. Not a doubt in my mind. Joe and Punk, all those key guys that you remember from Ring of Honor would have been ECW guys. And guys like Punk and Joe, they would have done very well for themselves. Hey, Leopoldo is a Sound Off superstar. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being a channel member. We've picked up a bunch of new channel members over the past couple of weeks since I posted that NXT Battleground review for members, so I thank you for that. Oz and Glorious use alcohol with hot water on tree sap. Thanks, guys. Yeah, you know what? That does sound like something the Learning Tree would tell me. The Learning Tree giving me advice about tree sap. I mean, it only makes sense, right? I'll try that. Yeah, I'm not using hot water. I'm actually just going straight from the rubbing alcohol to the auto glass cleaner, but I may have to try that. I don't know, man. And Eminem, happy heavenly birthday to my sister. Thanks, Solo. Happy birthday to your sister. Thank you, Eminem. Thank you very much. And thank all of you for hanging out with me and listening to my ranting and raving. And Dynamite tonight was a very good episode. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to Forbidden Door. We had a great Raw. We had a great Dynamite. Now we just need a great SmackDown to complete the trifecta. And I think SmackDown will be a big show. I think SmackDown's going to be a good show on Friday. And I hope you will all come back here and join me for it. And we'll talk about that. And of course, episode 867 coming up on Sunday of the Solomonster Sounds Off, as it is each and every Sunday. Be sure to hit that like button on your way out if you have not already done so. Leave a comment as well. The more engagement, the more comments we get on the video, the more it gets spread by YouTube. So when you comment and you like you interact, you drop a super thanks or a super chat or whatever. It does help out these videos a lot. Also, if you missed it, go back and check out TNT episode 8 or episode 53 rather, with JD and myself over on his channel. We went over 3 hours last night. We dissected the Wyatt 6. We talked a lot about that. We talked about AEW as well, a lot of different topics, and had some fun also talking about some old WWF gimmicks. If you want to see a Berserker impression from the both of us, that's the show for you. So go check out TNT. Here we go. Leopoldo, you got my name right on the first try. Thanks for that alone. Now here's a life-pondering question. Which would you rather choose? The learning tree or you know better? I would choose the chair. I think I would choose the chair too. What's your last meal going to be? Boy, you're making me choose between the learning tree and the Wingstop commercial. I think we have officially reached the 7th circle of hell. And on that note, I will see you on Friday. Thanks, guys.